So here are the notes for Chapter 6, 6-1. We are classifying quadrilaterals. Quadrilaterals, of course, are four-sided figures. And this little chart here, as well as this little box here, is essentially the entire chapter in a nutshell. These are special quadrilaterals. This is kind of like a tree branch thing here. At the very top are quadrilaterals, four-sided figures, any type of four-sided figures. Let's zoom in here. And as you branch out, you could be beyond just a four-sided figure. You could have, and if you go this direction here, you could be a kite. There's no parallel sides with a kite, but there are two congruent adjacent sides like that. Then a quadrilateral can branch out where one side is parallel, in which case it is called a trapezoid. And then even underneath a trapezoid is what is called an isosceles trapezoid, where one side is parallel, and then the two sides that are not parallel are congruent. Over here are when everything is parallel, both sides are parallel, the top and the bottom, the left and the right, and those are called parallelograms. And then if you straighten out this parallelogram, where all the angles are 90 degrees, it's called a rectangle. If you shrink that parallelogram and all the sides are the same length, although this picture doesn't look really accurate, it would be a rhombus. And then a rhombus and a rectangle come together where all four sides are the same, all four angles are 90 degrees. That is, of course, called a square. Okay. Over here is just a better description of each individual special quadrilaterals. So a parallelogram has opposite sides parallel. And we're going to add more ideas to this as we go deeper and deeper into the chapter. A rhombus has four congruent sides. A rectangle has four right angles. Okay, a rectangle is not some long thing this way. As long as it has four right angles, it is considered a rectangle. A square has all four congruent sides, all four 90-degree right angles. A kite, as we mentioned, nothing is parallel, but you do have two sets of congruent sides. And an isosceles trapezoid or a trapezoid is first going to have one pair of parallel sides, and then if it's isosceles trapezoid, you have the congruent side lengths as well. And when you look at this tree branch, a square on the bottom of the tree branch is everything above it. A square is a rectangle because it does have four right angles. A square is considered a rhombus because a rhombus has four congruent sides. A square is a parallelogram because everything is parallel. And of course a square is a quadrilateral because it is a four-sided figure. Now that does not mean figures up here are squares down here. If you're down here, you're everything above it. But if you're up here, a parallelogram, that does not mean you're a rhombus. That does not mean you're a square. But you are a four-sided figure. Same with this. Isosceles trapezoid is a trapezoid, and a trapezoid is a four-sided figure. So you are everything you are above it, but it does not work in reverse. Okay. Let's go with some basics here about classifying figures here. Graph quadrilateral A, B, C, D. I already did this in advance here. And then classify this in as many ways as possible. So, and we're going to use abbreviations here. So this is a four-sided figure, so we'll call it quadrilateral, but I'll just abbreviate it as a quad. It looks like the opposite sides are parallel, so we can call it a parallelogram. It looks like we have 90 degrees here, and if we count the slopes, you will see opposite reciprocal. This line, these two lines would be opposite reciprocals with each other, making 90 degrees. So if it's 90 degrees, it's also a rectangle, and I'm abbreviating rectangle like that. If I actually do the distance formula and figure out the distance of each of these sides, you will notice it's an a squared, b squared, c squared, but it's always the same a squared, b squared, c squared, and it would be all four sides are the same, thus making it a rhombus. And then finally, if all four sides are the same and all four angles are 90 degrees, it of course is a square. And I'm just abbreviating square there. Okay. Then it says which name gives the most information about A, B, C, D. Just one name, and this would be a square, because a square implies that you got 90 degrees, you've got equal sides, you've got parallel sides, and you've got a four-sided figure. So that will give you the most information about it. Finally, we'll close this off with find the values in this rhombus. Of course, a rhombus means all four sides are the same. You have a rhombus here where you've got A's and B's. Now you could say this 5A plus 4 is equal to 3B plus 2, but I'm not going to make an A equal to a B. I'm just going to say this left side is equal to this right side, since they both contain the letter A's in it, and it will be much easier. So I'm going to say 5A plus 4 is equal to 3A plus B. And kind of the same idea, I'm going to say this top is equal to this bottom. Now it's a rhombus, so all four of these are the same, but I'm just going to take the top equal to the bottom here. So I will do one equation to solve for A, and then the other equation to solve for B, top and bottom. And then just quickly just go through this, minus the 3, it looks like A is 2, and looks like B is 4. And if I plug 2 and 4 into this, you will get all the sides to be the same, which should be, looks like 14, 14, 14, and 14. So everything is the same, thus being a rhombus.